What do you get when you mix a plain loaf of bread with a bunch of food colouring? You get this. It's called rainbow bread, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is that you can eat it. So to make it, you're going to need white bread, a paintbrush, a plate, some food dye, and some plastic cups with water inside. The first step is to blend our dye. So add a bit of blue. So what I'm doing is putting a different colour in each cup so they don't mix up. And you can also blend the colours. So if you want to make purple, add a drop of blue and a couple of drops of red. And swirl the colours. That looks like purple. So now I'm going to use a practice piece of bread just to test out the colours. Yep, that's looking good. Oh, I need to put a bit more green. Sometimes it's good to do some practice because even though the colour's pretty strong in the cup, when you apply it to the bread, it might look faint. That's a bit of green. It's better to start off with less dye because if you use too much, then you can't really go back. Okay, so that yellow needs a lot more dye because yellow is a fainter colour. Ooh, that's much better. And let's try the red. That's looking good. And the last colour is purple. And I'm happy with that colour. So now it's time to paint our rainbow. If you want to save bread, you can just flip the bread over and then paint your rainbow. Let's start off with the colour red and do a large crescent shapes for the rainbow. Our next colour should be yellow. Green. Blue. And purple. And there you have your rainbow. Good enough to eat. And you can use as many colours or designs as you like. The sky's the limit.
If you want to be an ice sculptor, the first thing you need is crystal clear ice. It's very strong. The trick with getting clear ice is not to let the top freeze over. They freeze from the bottom up.
We need to start off by making the block of ice. We put the moulds into the ice block makers, fill it with water, and it takes 5 days to make the block of ice. We need to run it through the chainsaw, split the ice down to the size we need. We then take the design, program it into the computer, which then talks to the ice carving machine. Turn on the ice carving machine, and away it goes, it cuts the ice for us. At the end of that, we need to finish it. Clean it up, and that's the finished job.
Last time on Get Arty, we started this sugar skull collage. Big round head and done. Now we're ready for the next step. Okay, now that we've got our skeleton frame, we're going to add all the clothes and jewellery. I'm going to give her a really nice big necklace and a collar on her dress. Okay, so for the second skeleton, I'm going to draw more of a suit-style collar. So grab a different coloured piece of paper, line it up under the neck, draw a pointy line, almost like a lightning bolt shape, and just draw a V down the middle like that. And I think this guy needs a pocket, so I'm not going to draw it because all you need to do is use the straight edge of your paper and just cut an arch. Just like that. I'm just going to choose some colours for the braces. These are really easy, I'm not going to draw them. It's just cutting 2 long strips for each skeleton. And now, put them in place. So you just cut off the excess that's hanging over the end of your paper. Snip that off. It can be really rough. So once you're happy with your position, just glue it down. Don't worry about being straight or neat. You can sort of embrace the messiness. As you stick things down, sometimes they can look a bit scrappy, but that sort of adds to the charm. So don't worry if things don't look perfect. So now we're going to do a necklace. You just grab any kind of paper you like, and I'll draw a biggish heart. And this can be really rough as well, it doesn't need to be perfect. And just pop it on top of the red triangle that you cut earlier. And then we'll just draw a smaller heart to fit inside the larger heart. And it's all about layering. And cut it out. Position it inside the larger heart. So now for the beads in the necklace, grab your marker and draw some rough circles. I'll do about 3 of each colour, and I think that necklace is ready to stick down in place. That's the bottom halves of the sugar skulls complete. Next time on Get Arty, we're going to decorate the heads.
My name is Simon Reeve. I've worked in the television industry for too many years, 38 years now. Definitely my #1 passion is making documentaries and creating stories. Shooting them myself, editing them myself, and writing them myself as well. That gives me a great deal of pleasure. There is something magical about the African bush that touched me the very first time I stepped out into it. A normal day in Africa is to get up as early as possible. And any given day, you might end up following a pride of lions from very early in the morning to resting during the day to picking up with them again, hunting in the evening, so that there is no script in Africa. There's no schedule that the animals will give you and say, well, this is where I'll be at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can meet me down in the corner of the waterhole. It doesn't work that way, which is the joy of filming in Africa as well. I think when you're shooting with animals, there's a couple of things. Patience is #1, because animal behaviour is not predictable necessarily. They will do things that surprise you. Filming animals is to let the action happen in front of you as well. It's the beauty of filming for me, is not knowing what's going to happen next, having those moments of adrenaline, that a burst of sunlight might come out late in the day and suddenly you've been waiting for something all day for that light to work out right, and then you get 3 or 5 minutes of this almost biblical light that is so beautiful, and you're taking a photo of an elephant or whatever it might be, and there is no better feeling in the world than walking away knowing that that shot, that photograph or that little bit of video is there, or hoping it's there. I think one of the things about animals and animal photography and animal documentary making is to really try and capture the character of that that creature. To kids and to anybody, you can start your documentary practice right at home, and that is to get down at the animal's level. So get onto the ground with your cat or your dog, and you can get some great photographs. A really important lesson here as well is to never be afraid of making mistakes, because we all make mistakes, and from our mistakes we learn. And I am still learning. Every time I pick up a camera, every time I go into the field, I make mistakes still, and I hopefully learn from them. Never be afraid to make mistakes, kids, because that's the only way we learn. So believe it or not, this tiny camera is what I use these days when I go and make documentaries in Africa. So this camera has had all sorts of abuse in its lifetime. I've had it for about 4 or 5 years now, but it still produces great stills photos and also really beautiful video. You obviously feel passionate about the film that you're making, so make your writing passionate as well. And then make your delivery of the voiceover or the piece to camera as passionate as you can. So those are really important things if you are inserting yourself into the story. My name is Simon Reeve, and I'm a documentary maker.
Garlands and bunting are a great way to personalise your room, and today on Get Arty, we're going to show you a few different styles. And this is mine. I've gone for lots of colour and texture. Now, to make these felted balls, you're going to need some warm water, some soap, some wool roving, some embroidery thread, a needle threader, a big bowl, some scissors and a tea towel. Okay, the first step is to get your nice hot soapy water ready. So I'll add the warm water to the bowl. And just get any kind of soap will do, just some pump soap. Make it nice and sudsy. Now you don't want the water too hot because you're going to be using your fingertips. Next step is to get your wool roving and pull little sections off so we can roll them into the ball. As you can see, it's just unspun wool. I'm happy with those bits. Put them in the palm of your hand and dip them into the water. And very softly start to roll it in the palm of your hands. Don't use too much strength of this. The warm soapy water helps bind the wool into the ball. And as you can see, it's starting to take shape, but you will have a few little creases, but there's a little easy fix for that. Just grab some of the wool, dip it in very softly to the water, and wrap it around the creases. So there's another crease there. So you just grab some wool, dip it in, and wrap it over. That's looking pretty good, so I'll put it on my tea towel to let it dry. Time for our next colour. So just pull 2 chunks, dip it into your water, and start rolling. Just remember to use really light fingers. You don't want to squash the ball. So there's just one crease there, so I'll just pick up some wool. I'll just place it over. The idea is to have a nice, smooth, round ball. And all you have to do is repeat that with all your different colours. That's my last ball done. Time to let them dry for a couple of days. Now they're nice and dry, it's time to thread them on. Now just remember you have an adult around when you're using a needle, it's quite sharp. Now this is really easy. You just thread it through the centre of the ball, out the other side, and it's on. Just pull it down your thread. Now I'm going to pick up a completely different colour. I'm going to make sure it's all different. Put the needle through, pull it out, down the thread. Now I've chosen 7 different greens and blues today, and I'm alternating between each colour. And I ended up making about 4 of each colour. Now you can space the balls as close or as far apart as you'd like. Now the great thing is you won't have to tie knots to keep the balls in place. The friction of the wool keeps them right where they are. There we go, I've finished shutting my balls on. Now carefully take the thread out of the needle. And now it's time to hang it up.
A big part of Halloween is about collecting treats of all shapes and sizes. But you want to keep your hard-earned collection safe. So we're creating a trick-or-treat box that would help keep an eye on them for you. I see what you did there, Nathan. So to make this trick-or-treat box, you're going to need a cardboard box, some glue, coloured markers, light blue, light brown, green, red and black, some foam balls in 3 to 4 different sizes, a pair of scissors, a hole punch, a length of red rope, and finally, a Stanley knife. So first thing, cut all your foam balls in half. And just make sure you have an adult around when you're using your craft knife. Sweet. Then with your black marker, draw a C in the center of the dome. Now connect the top and bottom points of the curve with a circle. So just color in that moon-shaped crescent entirely with black, and just leave that little white circle untouched. Now draw a large circle around it, making sure this is right in the center. Now grab one of the blue, brown or green markers and color in the eye. Repeat this on all the hemispheres. Now using a red marker, draw in some veins. So I'm using the subtle grooves in the foam ball as a guide. And now just repeat this step for the rest of the eyes. So our veins are done. We're gonna put aside our eyes. Grab your box. And we're gonna use our hole punch. So we're gonna make a hole about 1 centimetre from the top, right in the middle. So grab your red rope, and we're gonna tie it through the holes. Now it's gonna be the handle, just like this one. We're gonna do 2 or 3 knots. It's gonna be able to hold all your goodies. It's time to glue on the eyes. So grab your glue, and at the base of the eye, just squirt a little bit and press it onto the box. And don't worry too much if there's any glue on the eyes, it'll dry clear. So to fill in any gaps, play around with the sizes of the eyes to see where they fit. Another thing is, I'm making sure that the reflection, that circle there on the pupil, are all facing the same direction. That way it looks a bit more real, a bit more effective. There we have it. Now all your bucket needs are some Halloween treats. With this many eyes, no one will be able to steal your hard-earned goods.
My name's Eliza. I'm in Year 7 at St Mary's Star of the Sea College, Wollongong, New South Wales, and this is my artwork, The Rare Sighting. It was created for an assignment that I had in class for art. Well, the idea was about how the city is encroaching on the land of all of the national animals that we have. I used acrylic paint to actually paint the painting, and I used lead pencil for the initial drawing and outline pen to make the buildings in the background sharper and more detailed. Oh, it took a very long time. It took about a week for me to actually finish the painting, but on top of that, the drawing took me hours and hours. I made many, many mistakes with this. I repainted the city at least 3 times. Even with the initial drawing, I redrew it many, many times. The hardest part was probably the koala, because I was trying to make it look as realistic as I could because I wanted it to be the focus. Yeah, I am proud of it. I'm really happy with the way that I did. I mean, there are a couple of things that I could have tweaked to make it better, but I was really happy with it when I finished it.